new year, people. It is I, Jedi. I am back. Yep. 2007 is coming to a close. It is 2008, baby. Woo! Man. And if you haven't noticed in the background, take a look at that. Alucard wallpaper, baby. Woo! Got that for about $15 for Christmas. Good shit. You know? Nothing better than that. It's one of the best pictures of Alucard. Anyway, this is going to be some quick thoughts about 2007 / a Q&A. I just want to get my thoughts in about the whole year of 2007 in general. For me, 2007 has been a really big year for me. In terms of not only just internet-wise, but in terms of real life and other stuff, you know, real life events and that stuff. I mean, when I first came on YouTube, I couldn't talk for shit. I mean, like, if you hear my earliest videos, my mic skills were not that good. I could hardly talk. I couldn't even talk in real life. I really didn't have that much good social skills. You know, I couldn't really talk all that well. I mean, coming on YouTube has really... I've really grown as a person. I've really gotten more sociable. I'm more easy to talk to. I'm easier to talk to people. You know, it's really helped me a lot getting on YouTube and making videos, and I have really you to thank for that. You know, and I never really thought I would really gain as many subscribers as I have. You know, I mean, I got 4,000 subscribers. I mean, it's crazy just thinking about that. You know, I mean, people kind of put me on a pedestal, you know, but I mean, I'm just me. I'm just a video gamer that just plays video games, you know. That's all I am, you know. I'm not a gaming god that many people put me out to be, you know. And I'm really looking forward to 2008. I think 2008 is going to be a really great year. You know, there's already 3 games on top of my head that I'm really looking forward to. More Metal Gear Solid 4, definitely I'm looking forward to that. Super Smash Bros. Brawl, what more can I say about that? And another game that I really wasn't looking forward to at first, but after seeing the trailer, it looks really, really, really good. You know, and, you know, like I said before, I played the Final Fantasy 3 remake on the DS, and it actually is pretty good, though. I mean, even the storyline's a little not all that good. The storyline's a little generic, but I'm really looking forward to Final Fantasy 4's, what they're going to do with it, because I've seen the trailer on that. For the DS, it looks really, really good. They even have voice acting in that, and I think it's going to really improve it a lot. So, you know, it may not have the same classic and the same magic that the original one had, but I think it's going to look really, really good, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's supposed to come out sometime this year. As far as I know, it's out in Japan already. So definitely 2008 is looking brighter already, you know, so definitely that. You know, and I'm looking better than ever, you know, definitely. What else more can I say about that? Anyway, this is going to be a Q&A for the first of the year, baby. Let's get into it. Alright, first question is from my good old buddy Spax. He asked me, if you could only have one of these consoles in this current generation for retro style games, if so, which one would it be? If you only have one console, you can only have one of these consoles in this next generation. Alright, it would be the Wii for the virtual console, the D for the DS for the newer retro style games, 360 for the Xbox Live Arcade games, PS3 for the PlayStation Network games, and the PSP for the remakes. One thing I'm really digging is definitely the DS's newer retro style games. I mean, the DS is pretty much almost like the retro gamer system, you know. You got like Star Fox on there, you got the new Super Mario Brothers game on there, you got the Castlevania games on there, you got like Children of Mana on there, you got the Final Fantasy game on there, you know, Final Fantasy 4 is coming out there soon. I'm really digging the DS. The DS is really a really great system, I must say. I mean, I'm really starting to fall in love with my DS personally. So, my vote goes to the DS, baby. Mario Mania 94. What are your thoughts on Shining Force 2? I love the first one. It is one of my favorite games, but never played the second one. I was wondering if it's worth buying. If you love the first one, you're going to love the second one. I assure you that. It's definitely worth buying. If, you know, even though the storyline may not be as good as the previous one, you know, it's a little cliche. You got the whole Save the Maiden plot, but pretty much, like, if you enjoyed the first one, you'll love the second one. You know, it may cost you a bit of money to get it on eBay, because it may go for about $40 to $50, you know. But definitely, if you can saw down the actual cartridge of it, get it if you can. Alright, next question is from Poycun32. What are your thoughts on who prefers Symphony Knight's voice acting on the PS1 over the new dub as in Dracula X Chronicles? I know many prefer it because for its legendary cheesiness and memorable lines like, "What is a mod?" But there are actually fans who believe the original dub is better. What do you say to them? Well, it depends. I think they're both now that good. I think the the original dub because it has kind of a classic feel to it. You know, like the whole echo effect of the whole voices. You know, they sound like they're having like echoes, or they sound like they're far away when they're talking. Like especially with Richter's voice and Dracula's voice. You know, and the new dub is not all that great either, but it's decent. But I don't know. So I mean, they're nothing really to put they're nothing really to put they're really to hang their hats on, really. You know, they're nothing really all that noteworthy. You know, but I mean, I guess for nostalgic reasons, I guess the Symphony of the Night one is a bit. The original one it's got a bit more nostalgic factor to it. Next question is from Levo91. I know you hate TS, but why do you hate Final Fantasy X? I don't hate Final Fantasy X. I just thought Final Fantasy X was kind of disappointing to me. I never really got into the characters, into the story, you know. I just thought the characters were just lame, you know. It just had an overall lame feel to it. The only thing I liked about Final Fantasy X was Blitzball. That was the only thing I liked. Other than that, it was just lame. It just I just didn't like it at all. I mean, it was okay, but not a really good Final Fantasy in my opinion. Next question is from Royal Navy Dude. Do you collect Blu-ray, HD, or both? What's your favorite? I don't really collect either or. The only Blu-ray I got is that Talladega Nights or something like that. The one with that one movie with Will Ferrell in it, and I got it with my PS3. I don't own any HD DVDs, so I don't collect those at all. I mean, I'm not really a big movie person, man. I mean, I watch some movies that are on TV, or if I'm really like a die-hard of it, you know, if I really want to buy it, I'll buy the DVD of it, you know. I'm not going to go out and buy, like, a $30 HD DVD when I can't even notice it if it's on a standard TV, you know. You have to have a HD for it to notice it, you know. So it doesn't seem all that worth it to me. Next question is from Trumpy D. When will Konami announce Metal Gear Solid 4 for the 360, Wii, and the PC? To be honest with you, I don't know. The thing is that I think what's going to happen is the Metal Gear Solid 4 is going to come on the PS3, but I think there's going to be such a demand for it. Eventually, I think they're going to bring it out to the 360. The Wii, I don't see it happening. The Wii, it just doesn't seem like it's going to be a Wii game. I just don't see it happening. The PC is a maybe, but you know, more likely it's going to be on the 360 if it comes out to another console besides the PS3. Next question is from NGATNK. Wasn't Street Fighter 2 the movie game on the Saturn playable and kind of fun? At least that's how I remembered it. I know it wasn't like the arcade version because it was made by Capcom. The one on the PS1 I played, it was okay. You know, it wasn't all that great. You know what I'm saying? Like the gameplay was okay at best. It was a mediocre game, you know. It wasn't crappy, but it wasn't great either, you know. It's not something to hang your hats on, pretty much put it that way. So, it was okay at best, you know. The only good thing about that game was that you had the movie battle, which pretty much you saw like little cutscenes and little dialogue scenes. It's probably the only interesting thing about that game. Other than that, it was not that good. I'd much rather be playing like Street Fighter Alpha than that game on the PlayStation if I wanted to play a Street Fighter game on the PlayStation or the Saturn. Next question is from Neo Geo Guy. Do you think the PS3 will get back on its feet, and do you think they'll dominate Xbox? To be honest with you, at this current state, I don't think it's gonna take over Xbox, because I think Xbox right now is too strong. You know, I mean the PS3 it can get some other games like like Metal Gear Solid 4 and some other titles. You know, it's gonna come up with the whole home thing. You know, the PlayStation Home, trying to do like this little Sims thing. But I just don't think it's gonna be able to catch up to the level that the Xbox 360 has. You know, Xbox 360 is going so strong right now. You know, you got the whole Xbox Live capability. You know, you got so many games for it and all that. So I just don't think it's gonna be able to. I mean, the biggest competition the 360's got is the Wii, because the Wii is very, very popular. The next question is from Also Barzo. Why do you use the name Bell in some of your games? To be honest with you, that's actually my last name, actually. I mean, some people call me by that, by my last name, because I mean, some people there's like multiple Anthony's in sometimes there's like multiple Anthony's. It's like, hey Bell, come here or something like that. They'll just call me that. So that's another nickname for me. I use Jedi, but I also use that name too. That's just a little FYI. Next question is from George G15. What do I use to record to blow off my PlayStation 2? Definitely, like I said before, you can use that AV amplifier that I can use, or better yet, I heard from another person that you can get yourself a gamer bridge, and I heard that's very, very cheap. You can get one for about $20 or so. Get yourself one of those. You can get them online. You can probably get them on eBay or Amazon. You know, some stores may sell it. Some like private stores may sell it, but not that many. I mean, you wouldn't see it at a GameStop or something. Next question is from the Glauber Scotsman. Do you think that Microsoft will take back its #1 sales spot from Nintendo? I don't know. It's too close to call at this current point, you know. I mean, Nintendo Wii's really strong, and then I think it's pretty much 360's almost like neck and neck, pretty much. It's almost to that point. It's like neck and neck at this point, you know. So it's going to be a very close console generation. You know, there's like a lot of competition from both sides, so it's kind of hard to say at this point. I mean, I think that if like maybe if like 360 brings out some, like, you know, if the Nintendo Wii, like, the only thing is that I think the only thing that I think that will really slow down the Wii sales is, you know, if some people think it's starting to think it's like a fad or something, you know, and they'll start to lose interest in the Wii. Other than that, I think that's like the only thing I can really see that can really slow down the Wii sales. Other than that, at this current point, I'm not too sure. It's too close to call. Next one is from my Mr. Joker 773. When you were younger, did you ever pretend to be sick or make excuses not to go to school so you can play video games the whole day? I used to do that a lot when I was in elementary school. One time I skipped a whole entire week of school. No joke. I skipped a whole entire week of school one time. I basically I sat down the entire week playing like my Sega Genesis and my Super Nintendo the whole week. I basically just like I faked I had the stomach flu, and it was like I think I faked it for like the entire week, and pretty much I stayed from school. That shit ever. I mean, in elementary school you can do that shit, but in fucking middle school and high school you can't do that shit, because if you have like a certain number of absences or something like that, then you won't pass the class or some shit. So you can't really do all that, which kind of sucks. Next question is from Ragdoll Man 98. Will the Sonic series ever redeem itself? I don't know. Well, for the portable consoles, the Sonic series is still doing rather well. You know, with Sonic Rush and the Rivals game's not too bad either. But you know, in this the main consoles right now, I can't really see it. You know, with Mario and Sonic and the Olympic games, you know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't all that great. You know, it was okay at best, but it wasn't like a game that you would really put high above in the Sonic series. You know, and Sonic the Disaster pretty much just been, you know. So, I don't know at this point. I think that they really need to pretty much do what I said before. Pretty much give Sonic an overall. That's what they need to do with Sonic. Next one is from Zero731. Hey Judah, I've been watching a lot of your vids. Personally, I love retro games too. I was wondering if I should get a Sega Genesis with a Sega CD. I had a Sega Genesis before, but it was stupid. But I was stupid and I sold it. But yeah, I have about every other system except this one. So what do you think? If you can get one with a Sega CD, go for it, dude. Go for both. I mean, most times if you go up on eBay, you have to get a Sega CD with a Sega Genesis. You know, they don't just sell the Sega CD by itself most times, because most times, you know, like the Sega, you know, you need the Sega Genesis to run the Sega CD, basically. You know, so most times they will actually sell the Sega CD along with the Sega Genesis. So yeah, I would definitely go for it. I mean, you can get it pretty cheap nowadays. You can probably get both for about 40, maybe 30, 40 bucks getting both. So, you know, that's not a lot of money. Next question is from Dylan Kimberlin. Hey, I love your videos. They always keep me entertained. Anyway, I have a question for you. Why did Sega fail in the market? I love my Segas to death, and I'll admit I was a huge Sega fanboy. Some say that failed because they didn't market themselves properly. Did they believe this is true? That's probably that's not really the only reason. Like I said before, I must have been a big, huge Sega fan back in the day myself too. One of the biggest reasons was that, you know, they rushed their systems. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, even though the Sega CD wasn't, I don't think it was a bad system, but it didn't really sell that well because they put all their eggs into one basket, you know what I'm saying? They pretty much tried to do this whole motion, like this whole FMV technology or whatever, and pretty much that flopped. You know, that's one of the big things they did, that was like, they put all their eggs into one basket with that. And also they brought the 32X, which pretty much was a scam from day one, because, you know, like, they already had the Saturn plan, you know, so why would they, I mean, you know, I just think they really just ruined a lot of their credibility of what they had, you know, like Nintendo pretty much always remained strong, you know what I'm saying, up until that point, you know, Nintendo was pretty much, like, strong, like, they always had a strong system, like Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Game Boy, etc., you know, the only weak system that Nintendo ever really had was the Virtua Boy, But another thing was that Sega pretty much had ruined credibility up until that point, you know. And since they had ruined credibility up until that point, you know, like with the Sega CD and the Sega 32X, you know, they would make a game for maybe about 2 years, and then after that they would discontinue it, you know. And so people were kind of hesitant to buy those systems, you know. They were saying, well, they're figuring, well, they're going to discontinue their games or systems or after 2 years anyway, so why am I going to go and buy a system that's going to get discontinued anyway? You know, so they didn't see what the point was. So a lot of people kind of were hesitant to join on Sega's bandwagon. You know, that's the reason why like Sega Saturn wasn't as strong as it was here as it was in Japan. You know, a lot of people were hesitant to jump on Sega's bandwagon. And also, like I said before, the Sega Saturn was pretty much like, it had a weird design to it, you know. It was pretty much designed to be a 2D system, but then after the PlayStation was announced to make it be a 3D system, they had to pretty much like do this whole thing where they had to make a 2D processor and a 3D processor. You know, and it was very, very hard to do, and it made it very expensive to do. So that's pretty much another thing that really burned Sega in the ass. And up until that point, you know, Sega Saturn was pretty much not really getting as good sales as the PlayStation was. And pretty much at that point, when the Dreamcast came out, the Dreamcast was probably, some people arguably is one of Sega's best systems, arguably, some people say. But up until that point, pretty much after that, the PlayStation 2 was on its way here, and PlayStation was a huge license at that time. I mean, PlayStation was huge. You know, PlayStation was the biggest console of the last generation. You know, and when PlayStation 2 came out, it was going to have DVD playback. You know, people were really hyped up for that, because that was the first system to ever really make that happen. So, really, I think after that point, pretty much Sega's credibility got shot down, you know. And then after 2 years after discontinuing the Dreamcast, you know, they just went to third-party developing. You know, I mean, I love Sega as much as anybody, but I think the Sega in the last few years hasn't been all that good. It just hasn't been up to par lately. Next question is from Nintendo Greg. What are your top 5 Dragon Ball Z fighters? My top 5 Dragon Ball Z fighters is definitely, my favorite is definitely good old Future Trunks. My favorite, he's probably the one I grew up the most as a kid, and I kind of idolized him as a kid. Probably my second one would be Vegeta, because he's just fucking like arrogant and shit like that. He's just a badass, he's arrogant, he's like fuck everybody. My third one would have to probably be Cell, because he's my favorite villain. He just has a cool attitude to him. He just has a cool voice. He has a cool attitude to him. The fourth one probably would have to be, I'd have to go and say Mystic Gohan. When he was fighting against Majin Buu, when he was he had the spiked hair, but he just had black hair, when he was pretty much had the King Kai's power, Supreme Kai's power. And last but not least, I'm gonna have to go and say, Gotenks. Gotenks is another one of my favorites too. Next question is from Jordan TWF. Can you put your collection of your PSP games in your next video? I have them all right here, as a matter of fact. Basically, I'll show you all my PSP games, so it's pretty much a pretty big stack. Okay, I got Tony Hawk Underground 2, Legend of Heroes, imported game Puzzle Bobble Pocket, or Portable, Ultimate Block Party, very overlooked game, Ape Escape, pretty much the remake to the PS1 classic, Mega Man Powered Up, very, very good side-scroller, Final Fantasy 1, the remake, Final Fantasy 2, the remake, Mega Man X, Maverick Hunter X, another great one, Sega Genesis Collection, the PSP version of Guilty Gear X2, Street Fighter Alpha 3 Max. Like I said, my favorite game on the PSP thus far, Castlevania X Dracula X Chronicles, Buster Move Deluxe, Darkstalkers Chronicles. Don't ask me why I have this game, but I bought this game because it was cheap. Ghost in the Shell, Luminous, very, very good game. SmackDown vs. Raw 06, Valkyrie Profile Lenneth, the remake to Valkyrie Profile on the PS1, Super Ghouls and Ghosts, or Ghosts and Goblins, Beautiful Joe, Ultimate Rumble, Metal Gear Acid, Metal Gear Acid 2, Guilty Gear movie that I bought, imported, Guilty Gear Fragment, and Guilty Gear Judgment. Those are all the PSP games I own. Okay, so those are my PSP collection, okay? Next question is from the Great One J. I was looking at your review of Dynasty Warriors Gundam. I wanted to get the game, but I just want to know if Death Sight's in it. But either way, I'll get it since I'm a big Gundam fan. Hate to break it to you, though, but Death Sight's not in the game. The only Gundams that are from Gundam Wing are in that game are the Wing Gundam Zero and the Epion Gundam. That sucks, but you know, it's pretty much scattered a bunch of, like, there's different Gundams from different series. Like, you have, like, Gundams from the Turner Gundam series, you have the Gundams from the original Mobile Suit Gundam, from Zeta Gundam, from Double Zeta Gundam, you know. So, they only have maybe 1 or 2 Gundams from the Gundam Wing series. Sad, but that's the case. Metal Chains 88. Have you ever played Home Alone 1 or 2? If so, what on what console? Yes I have. And they were pretty shit, from what I remember. It was on the Super Nintendo, from like, the Super Nintendo I played it on. I know Home Alone 1, like, I would never understand what the fuck to do on Home Alone 1 when I was a kid. And Home Alone 2, that game used to fucking just annoy the shit out of me. Like, every single time, what the fuck? Suitcases kill you? You know, you have these suitcases that are flying up and down, these suitcases sliding on you, you get these bags flying up and down, you got these people trying to grab you, trying to molest you. What the fuck? It was like, ugh. It was terrible. It was another shit license game, in my opinion. Along the lines of many other crappy license games. So, okay. The next question is from Headache 100,000. Can you name your best and worst leaps into 3D? The best, I definitely have to say, is Mario 64. Definitely set the standard for a lot of 3D platformers. Another one that was really, really good was Sonic Adventure. You know, some people can debate with me on that. You know, I think they did a really good job with it, but I just think they really screwed up on the formula with later games. Let me see. Another one, I guess I have to say, I'm going to have to go and say Final Fantasy did a pretty good job going into 3D from Final Fantasy 6 to Final Fantasy 7. They did a really good job with that. Let's see. Worst leaps into 3D, I have to go with definitely Ball Z 3D. That game was just terrible. Another worst leap into 3D would probably be Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic the Disaster, as many people like to call it. You know, like I said before, they screwed with the formula. It got really bad later on because this wasn't finished. It just felt unrefined and all that shit. And another one I have to say is, I think, what was it? Earthworm Jim 3D, that's what it was. Earthworm Jim 3D. That game, I think I played it on the 64, you know, and I think that game was pretty shit too. And I was a big fan of the original Earthworm Jim games on the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis. So those are some of the ones I can think off the top of my head. And a lot of people say that Street Fighter EX was really bad in the 3D. It was okay. It was not that great, but it was decent. And let's see. Another question is Super Link 911. Do you own a real arcade machine? No, I wish I did. I really wanted, if I had room in this room, I would love to put a Neo Geo MVS arcade cabinet in this room. Get myself a 4 or 6 slot arcade cabinet, get my shelf, put it in this corner, woo, have some good old fun times with that. I even got some good old MVS carts over there to prove it too. Just love to have it that too. This baby. I've just been using an AES MVS converter for my Neo Geo cart system right now to play those games. So I already have the consoles, I already have the carts already. So all I need is a cabinet in the room. Whew. Maybe when I get myself into another house, I can maybe buy myself a arcade cabinet. Get myself some other arcade games. Get myself the arcade version of Contra. Get myself Street Fighter 2 Championship Edition. Whew, having some good shit. And last but not least, Metal Chains 88. You know how some games keep scores? Do you care what your score is? In later games, not really, because a lot of like newer games I've noticed pretty much don't even keep your score. You know, most times they don't give a shit. You know, like, I mean, they're really only in games like they're like the older shoot 'em up games, like, you know, like Galaga. You know, a lot of them old shoot 'em up games. Maybe some old side scores keep your scores, but now it's like scores keeping is like non-existent at this point. So really, to be honest with you, no, not really. Some cases, like, I mean, it's good in some cases because sometimes the more points you get, you know, sometimes you can get more extra lives and stuff like that. You know, in some shoot 'em ups, if you get like 10,000 points, you get yourself an extra life or something like that. You know, that's really the only importance it really plays in the game, really, to be honest. I think that's all for today. All right, so I've been really wanted to make reviews though, but I just haven't been able to because I've been busy with jobs, I've been busy with work and other shit, you know. And this is really the only time I can really make videos, and it's almost 1 o'clock, 1 a.m. where I'm at now, and I'll probably go to sleep in about a few hours. So, and then when I get up or whatever, pretty much I just go to work and shit. So I just haven't had time to do shit. And my schedule's just all scattered, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what days I have off, you know. Some days I work the weekends, and I have off sometimes during the week. So I really don't have a set schedule, to be honest. So Alright, anyway. Goodbye 2007. Bring on 2008, baby. Keep them rocking.